All right, and a do or die series in the lower bracket. It's going to be M80 to come out top in the very first map of Sunset. GLRS destroys in the matter. And what a series it was. I mean, Shift, we're coming from yesterday where both of these teams massively underperformed with the expectations. Both were very stark about that, talking about on their own socials. How do we think they turned up now?
Yeah, I had the most questions about how M80 were going to respond defensively after dropping this map yesterday. Offensively, they looked fine. I think anytime you put a Gecko on this map, it becomes pretty self-explanatory that Wingman is going to be the one trusted to plant, and then you just got to set up your post plant, whether you want to scale deep, set up towards market, set towards B main, whatever it happens to be. Some moments where I was visibly upset about how we were playing it, because early on in the first half, there were a couple of throwaway rounds where M80 just get caught playing backside pillar, just not playing in either market nor B main, but they did what they needed to do. Getting 8 rounds in the offense was more than what you would have wanted, and then on the defensive side, the retakes did find more success here today. So really happy, I think, with the small adjustments that M80 were able to make to get this map won.
I like how you mentioned that as we get to see the pop in the back of the head there. And I think that there was mistakes coming out from both teams in this. But as we kind of went on, we got to see both teams kind of warm up a little bit more here, Roy, which is good considering we have a series ahead of us.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I do want to touch on the fact that the layers of mind games between these two teams was very, very high, right? Like, you could tell there's an insane amount of prep going into this matchup between these two teams. Luxo having a read on how Xander wanted to play in B main is one very simple example of that. But even the levels of control, the level that M80 went, the depth that M80 went to shut down Sato's early pressure, right? Because we talked a lot about that going into this map, is the fact that M80 struggled a lot with their early openers in the previous map. But in today, in the first map right here, they were doing extremely well in that regard. We had Koala on 6-1 on the openers. BCJ did not have very high numbers. He only had 12 kills, but 4 of those kills are openers. So 2 is 1 death. So obviously there was some level of preparation when it came to how they wanted to open the rounds and how GLRS wanted to play this as well.
Also, just like the simple of analysis, the people you needed to see step up today really did step up. We had talked about people who maybe didn't have their greatest series yesterday, and I mean, Xander at the end being able to get that 1v2, also just great kills throughout the series. I mean, even calling back to one of the more impactful moments really, really early on, which kind of set the tone for the match here. Talking about Koala Noob, I mean, Roy, early on, there's an ace, and that kind of switches momentum up.
God, our producers are so good at their job. But yeah, this was a very monumental part of the game, right? Because up until this point, it was a very close half. You can see Koala grabs the spike. He takes that fight, immediately dodges the next fight, and then there's just a layer of mind games that are happening. Now, of course, we're not going to watch that entire clip all over, but the whole point being is that Yoru is not a very simple agent to play. It requires a lot of calculations. And yeah, we're sitting here with, 70, 80 beats per minute in our hearts, but these players are adrenaline fueled to be able to calculate these things and to be able to play to the pressure of like pretty much your entire career being on the line is just mind blowing to me.
First of all, Roy, my resting heart rate is at a cool 67, all right? Not 70 to 80. Second of all, for Koala Noob, when we talked about the dimensional drift is like a guaranteed round win when they have it from the get-go, for him to pull it out in 1v2 is just ballsy. Love the commitment. Definitely an injection of life. And now we get to see something fresh, although maybe it does feel a bit forced that M80 have to pull something weird out, kind of a wild card earlier than they may have wanted to in this overall playoff tournament.
I mean, looking at Ascent next, because I work with the smartest people around, it was something that Vance had first called out during the cast, was when we look at Ascent, we look at these two teams and we look at the compositions. M80, first off, has been really, really strong on here, but Vance brought up at the point that unless someone switches things up, we should be going for that deadlock v deadlock. And Roy, where did that originate?
I hate giving Vance, first of all, I hate giving Vance compliments, but he's so good at his job and handsome. But he did mention that North America actually pioneered the deadlock cipher composition. That is absolutely true. It was Dark Zero, formerly known as Turtle Troops. They were the ones that brought that meta forth. They're the ones that popularized it, and now a bunch of teams around the world are playing that. But the whole point being is that M80 has played against this comp all year long. They've been prepping for it an insane amount. Almost every team in North America and Challengers was swapping to that composition. But for me, the main point being here is that the Yoru is actually the counter to the comp.
Yes.
The Yoru plays very well into this composition. So the Yoru versus Jet is going to be a big factor, but the Yoru utility, the clone, it's actually able to break a lot of the gadgets and activate a lot of the traps that teams struggle with when it comes to hitting sites on their attack side.
I think the thing about it is we've seen Koala do some crazy things on Sunset with Yoru, and I mean crazy, like legitimately lunatic, where he's trying to blindside and then gate crash deep behind a team at B main. That last map, he's trying to pretend to be the decoy. Like, this guy is utilizing every inch of the Yoru kit to try to do something wild. So that is going to be something that I think is going to be an issue for GLRS that they need to keep an eye on. Whereas on the flip side, I think you have to point out that, yeah, the Jet is going to be a flex factor, but most importantly, you got to remember the fact that so far through this matchup, Sato has not done anything. He went 2 for 6 in first bloods on Neon in the first series and bottom fragged on his team. So he's going to have to really step up in a major way, kind of like we called upon Xander to do for M80 from yesterday to today.
And that's a really stark representation of the game coming up as well. When Koala was already performing on that Yoru for Sunset, and Sato was really kind of slow to be warming up. And now when we're looking at a do or die situation for galleries, and you need that Jet to be stepping up, who is not quite warm, not quite ready for that first match, there needs to be the turnaround, and there needs to be turnaround now. Because again, lower bracket. This is do or die. Right?
Absolutely. Yeah, there are no more rooms for error. And I do want to circle back to the last time that GLRS did play this. It was against Reta during that. And while we roll the agents, I'm just going to kind of talk over this because we are going to get confirmation whether there have been compositional changes. But Luxo and Sato both had a pretty quiet game. I mean, Sato did not have a terrible game, but Luxo was extremely quiet. And again, these are not really the type of players that don't bounce back. They will definitely bounce back. We saw it today in the first map. And yeah, there it is. The mirror matchup, the Yoru versus the Jet. This is going to be a super interesting matchup, guys.
Oh, this is for absolutely everything. For M80, it's a chance to be moving on to the lower finals and try and fight another day. For GLRS, a chance to try and stay in Ascension, stay in the playoffs, and prove why they were here. It all comes down to Ascent. Let's see if they can take it to a map 3. Head back over to Vans and Lemon Kiwi.
Last chance. It's all up to this next map of Ascent with this tough double senti composition that M80 knows so well. And GLRS are going to try to mimic. But GLRS, they're able to punch back, but based on how Sunset went, M80 just punch harder.
Agreed. And to look back to what Roy was mentioning here, that Yoru variant going into M80's composition that almost basically counters this double senti comp is the lack of flashes that would be non-existent if you're running basically GLRS's composition right now, because the most tried and true comp, you have a KO in there, and that's going to help you pop flash to move back within the sites. But Koala Noob adding flashes now to this comp, also still be able to up on this agent, and also be able to TP through the utility of all the sentis, creates that space right now that makes the Yoru kind of like an all-around encompassing great agent to utilize and maximize the composition here that was coined over in North America. I know Saint's going to be mad, but it's okay. Don't tell him.
And also just to be able to have that backline pressure when Koala Noob does have that all, and it's all been about intelligent plays, about the mind games, as the desk pointed out, and we said as well during Sunset, how M80 peeking away towards glass, towards tree. And GLRS happy to give that up, but someone who's trapped here is Luke and Sato playing towards a main. That's not smoked off. They're happy to engage. It ends up being an ultimate collapse as M80 walk into the hands of GLRS, and it's another pistol going the way of GLRS.
Yeah, that's another one of those moments where they're trying to work towards middle and split towards an area where it's not being watched, or usually not being pushed here on pistol rounds on a defensive side. But for M80, they still omit watching and taking control of at least one extremity. There was only one player playing against Sato back towards the A main circuit to have the cleanest pinch as possible towards the A site. But as soon as you lose that position, there's no smoke towards A main, it makes it so hard for you to flood back towards heaven. When also the reactive way from GLRS is to throw that smoke. Okay. That was a nice little shot, but yeah, we'll hold that thought. There's an aggression here coming out from M80, and as the wall comes up, now I can finish my thought. I love at least a reaction here from Luke Show to throw that smoke within the A site to give a chance here for GLRS to just stay anchored in. So great defensive round to start.
Yeah, shout out to production for giving GLRS a practice range in round 2. Yeah, I jinxed it low key, but Yeah, GLRS ain't kidding around with this Outlaw. And we wanted to see Sato start to activate. It was a hot start for GLRS on Sunset, but trailing off as M80, why they're the best team in North America, is being able to adapt, usually be able to play to their game, and not a lot of teams can make M80 not play their game. But M80 will adapt and overcome eventually. But can GLRS keep up the strong start that they have?
Yeah, it almost feels like this composition is going to activate Sato a little bit more, and even the supporting cast around him, because you're not going to have to be tied up with having your initiator stay around the op or the outlaw for Sato to get the best value on a Neon composition. Now he plays a Jet where he could be self-sufficient, look for these aggressive peaks like he's currently doing, and dash away whenever he wants. But even if it doesn't spot anybody here, he still locks down the whole middle right now for GLRS. And then you have the early rotate coming out from the defensive side over towards A, excuse me.
Here's M80 just adapting, just teleporting, making sure that, okay, Franco popped out last time. Sato as well. The random first bloods. M80, yeah, can go into this map confidently, but still needing to respect GLRS. Be vigilant on the approaches as GLRS are throwing different kinds of punches at them this time. Now with an open mid, with this deadlock on the left side. See how M80 at least know that it's there.
It's such a late wall too, so it just forces the hand of M80 to go into the A site where all of the rest of the utility of Cypher and the numbers are at on the defensive side.
GLRS do well to play on the site, and Luke will go undiscovered. M80, okay, thought that was a Yoru clone, wasn't sure about striking it down, and Luke is still a menace in Trey in this corner. M80 walk in and get pinched from all sides.
I'm not too sure if the wall missed here. Was it a lineup throw from Nismo or something? Because when he threw that barrier mesh, it actually blocked out M80 to move into tree into the A site to even help the fight in the first place, and it lost a spike in that position. And again, I gotta say, it's the patience that was displayed from GLRS at the very beginning, because you trust Sato to be able to watch the full middle, because you also trust Urango the whole time that was jiggling towards B main and throws a late barrier mesh, which if it wasn't sprayed right away, you know the call was going to be, hey, they're hitting the B side just like they are now. This is what should have happened. The wall comes up, it should be shot down right away, but looks like for M80, they'll hold back for a bit though, because they do have a half buy going into it. I want to give a tell here that they were forcing up, but as soon as the Ares came through from BCJ, GLRS is now ready for this half buy from M80.
At least the Ares is trying to make it so GLRS don't want to hold that close. It gives M80 space to deal with the barrier. Once the smoke goes down, flood in. And this, I thought this was going to pull the rotation out of Evil Kick, but now that M80 have killed all noise, GLRS are playing out of sight. They can't shift people over from A quite yet. Not until now. M80 walk in. First blood for GLRS. 2 on the site. Ringo no util. Rude doing his best to support. They'll go 1-for-1. Rude will get more than what he bargained for. He's got 2 pings. No, they're on the approach. Got the classic. And gets 4. Are you serious?
Rude stepping up once again, just like he did on that previous map. Yes, he got a lot of multi-kills, but never was able to close out the round here for GLRS. But at least his aim is there, and now good to be able to close down these areas. The half-buy was pretty okay here for M80 with their attempt to try to move in and try to overtake here their opponents. And you saw the value of that Yoru. The push from the pop flash blinded a couple of players, but what's been good so far from GLRS is how deep back in the site they've been playing with their utility. The trips that happen towards the back, the cages on top, so you could play trip kills from the back of the boat, from the back of the B site, and then also the smokes that were thrown towards the A site between Generator and Dice. They're not really giving a chance here for M80 to get the best value out of their pop flash hits, but great value for at least the defensive side to play around the Sentinel's utility. So that's pretty good here for GLRS on their defensive side to kick things off in the 4-0, converting from a bonus round, and also converting into the half buy of M80, where they haven't lost too many players in the process. So their economy is going to continue to shine, while for M80, I don't know going back from the timeout if there's going to be a couple of these half armor buys, but if there is and Sato still has the outlaw, that means that the economy is flourishing for the op side of Sato.
And fire alarm raised on M80's side. Not the actual fire, but you know, a red flag with dropping 4 rounds and getting flawless by GLRS at some point. Both sides being tried. Every attempt failed. M80 needing to decide of how does the flood happen? Because there's just a difference in a second. Timings have hurt both these teams on what you're looking at and when. And now M80 are gifted the site for free. GLRS not going to have Urengo and Root on it this time. Changing things up. GLRS have to fight for the retake. Unable. Well, they did a little bit of damage to M80.
Yeah.
That's a 5v5 on post one.
Now you have to try to do an op retake. So we talked about an outlaw before, but it's Sato already out with an operator, which is fine. There's a lot of players of M80 with full shields. The biggest thing right now is their annihilation coming out here from Lurango to might initiate the retake. But as they break this wall, they might still walk into a trip where players are holding behind there for M80.
Even the annihilation, like you said, can force the engagement. Even if you don't get the execution, you could funnel M80 into a narrow hallway, but now the drone spot at least 2 or 3. Shock bolt, annihilation denied. M80 still hold their ground, not dropping a member until now, and they denied the op. M80 get their first round.
That was very, very quick by M80 to set things up too. Once you went through the dimensional drift and opened up this B site, you see the amount of utility that's being thrown here from the Sentinels players within that site in itself. You're trying to drop into sight. You're going to get hit here by a sonic sensor. You're trying to move down the staircase. You're going head-to-head against a player in the back of the boathouse. Well, you're going to get hit by a sonic sensor, and it would really slow players down. But the biggest thing around that is also M80's being proactive and not giving a chance here for GLRS to get through. Before even getting to the point where you're getting hit by Sentinel Util, they went for the Recon Euro Flash just to pick some players out and keep those opponents at bay. Great utility being used here by BCJ in that round. 4 ults now available for M80 or being contested by M80 and also converted for M80. And now you go back into a slower playstyle, smoking back towards M1, blocking the vision of Sato, and Sato has to find a new spot to look out for. And with the wall coming up already on Catwalk, he might pivot here, potentially towards the B main, if it stays quiet towards middle contact.
Speaking of contact, just GLRS have not seen M80, and this is about M80 making the first move, putting the first card down. There's information. That's why he played the Sova. Hunter's Fury to stop people kick from using the drone. And he'll have to dance against this. Not much more action for GLRS to try to maybe shoot through the wall against the Hunter's Fury. They're letting M80 come in. But when you gave M80 site control before, they held it down. They bunkered. It's the annihilation to draw somebody out. And either way, either that's a buddy or not, Nismo is dead. It doesn't matter. M80 struggled to even get their foot through the door. GLRS shut it with a blacklight flawless.
Yeah, and despite all of that utility and ults being utilized, they all survived that 50-100. So none of them took any point of damage against the hit from M80 that seemed to leverage a lot of the surprise play that we were trying to concoct around these around these ults. And it started with a blind ult trying to catch your evil kick into Hunter's Fury while he was in the drone. It missed. Then you went for a TP towards the back so you could hopefully time the annihilation here from Nismo to catch the player in the back of the boathouse. And it was danced around, avoided here by evil kick. Even gets a recon dart on the top. Got so much value for his side now on the Sova roll, just like BCJ did for M80 on the round before. And now this breaks the econ on both fronts. For weaponry and ults, everything gets reset here for M80, and GLRS seems to be in a position where they can run away now with this first half.
Evil kick. What a ping to. Executes with the Odin. M80 no. Sato is mid with the op, or at least he was at the beginning of the round. How far pushed up Koala Noob is with full util. Things over so that Xander can smoke off the top and he could help support B, but hit is happening towards A. M80 have been unsuccessful at A due to just, yes, being awarded to be able to walk in, but then getting surrounded. Sato push back, Paranoia, the push in, M80 advance. They gotta watch their back though, Urango and Luke poke away at M80's forces. And it's GLRS on a tear.
Yeah, Nismo couldn't get anything there with the Sentinels right click Classic. Most likely taking the Classic to support here his old IGL John Cutie. But at least overall on the macro side of things for M80 was pushing out towards that spot of tree and trying to just get that flash, smother Sato and try to take him down. And I love this one and done position from Morongo in the very beginning here towards Wine. Because the op was actually spotted here towards tree, well, none of M80's players would have thought that Sato would be playing towards Wine and nobody else would be playing towards that, because who would actually be able to play that spot with the exception of Sato or Luke Show? And if Luke Show's busy smoking and was accounted for, and Wine should technically be clear, so he's able to swing out and get a kill and make it very difficult here for M80 to get a plant down in their eco. Go back into defaulting around and controlling the orbs once again and trying to salvage the last few rounds remaining here in this first half. A was taken. Now we go into the camera watching B main aggressively. It spotted the wall very early, so it should break fairly soon by the time we make it towards the orb. So we could maybe surprise a quick hit here into B as soon as it breaks before more util could come through to find info.
With these double Sentinel comps, it's about which defense can be closest to perfect and which offense can hemorrhage the least. Now GLRS playing deep into the site. Rude wanting to support, but also on the other side of the smoke, he will join the fight. M80 have already made their way into closet. And at least Rude will go 1 for 1. M80 has set themselves up for success with a plant. They have taken some injuries. And Luke just has to react to who advances through the smoke after seeing the dart come out of BCJ.
Oh, no.
And GLRS taking back control of this map in this round. I should say just this round. They've always been in control. 6-1, jeez. GLRS are not kidding around with Ascent. Nismo, 1v2. Doable. With Annihilation too, if he can just get the 1 kill. Man. Oh, he hears the smoke. And he heard someone teleport. Now Nismo just has to dance and couldn't get the cover. And it's GLRS up to 7.
I think he got aim punch too, aiming towards the air on that 1v1. Couldn't get the wall bang into Evil Kick. But that looks so good there for GLRS on a retake. Just to move through, leave Luke Show unaccounted for M80 when it was hiding inside that smoke to get the shorty kill. The wall bang coming out from the Odin. And again, for M80, it was a great start, at least into the round. By the time it made it towards the barrier mesh, it was so weak in terms of almost breaking down that it only took a couple of shots before breaking it. But then everything else in terms of util was breaking shot darts and whatnot that didn't actually land to break that. So it really slowed things down for a bit on M80's hit towards the side and gave a chance here for GLRS to really rotate across towards the end and win what should have been a victory there for GLRS. And rejoice here, Brazilian fans. We have a reverse Brazil scoreline.
Yeah, good point. M80 have hit these so many times. It's on the line of insanity and Koala Noob. Yeah, he shot back there. And M80 now escape after getting hit by a paranoia it was from Luke. And he's on the hunt. And there's prey on the other side. And someone got hit by the annihilation and then freed. Either way, GLRS healthy in numbers.
One enemy remaining.
With now just having to execute the remnants of M80 separated. But hey, BCJ, the 1-2 punch. He's got a lot more work to do in a 1 versus 3 for the ace. 85 HP, nothing on the recon.
And even a recon comes out on the defensive side. Aldron's going to spot him too, so he's going to have to wait a couple of seconds here, but it gives GLRS a clean look here that they can watch over the spike and knows that BCJ is going to come up here towards short
left
to fight against them. BCJ somehow manages to pull this out. High-low setup too. Over peak, sorry, from Evil Kick. A shock dart, rather. I like that at least here. From what you saw from the position too, sorry to cut you, Lemon Key. It didn't put Evil Kick in that corner where he could actually get the most damage out of that shock dart, and he kept the healthiest players on the high-low just to guarantee, you know, that slight overheat that happened after the first initial battles that came in favor of GLRS.
This is tough. I mean, what is the best scoreline that you hope for with a double Sentinel? Like, this is 8-1. Like, the half's almost done, and even if M80 go to defense, they'd have to never make a mistake. The kind of scoreline that they have, and this is GLRS really stepping up after a crushing sunset. Jeez.
Yeah, it shows how GLRS didn't bother for them at all if they couldn't find any openings here on how they played their defensive side of Sunset. Well, at least they're showing a great defensive side here on the Ascent. And also being Sato turning things around too on the conversion that he's currently getting on holding his angles versus on the value is trying to get on a Neon rifling with no op. You see the difference in playstyle, almost like a different look here towards these duelists that are fairly good here on the Neon and okay here on the Jet. Well, it's the reverse rather for Sato, who's awesome here on this Jet and Raze. But didn't look too hot here on the Neon earlier on against M80 in map number 1.
Ooh. Just spotted. Hunter's Fury 2. Evil Kick was in a position to get that done. Maybe playing off of more information or just reacting to the dimensional drift as Koala Noob in the back line is now screwed. Bit of a pickle thanks to Nismo. And M80 will evict GLRS from the B site.
Spike planted.
Then you got post-plant Nismo activated with the barriers. And no Hunter's Fury from Evil Kick. There's a lot of just chaos and I'm sure noise in the comms. M80 have a lot of work ahead of them still, even if this round seems in the bag. Damage to Sato. The op. Okay, a wrist got in his way. Takes a lucky shot through the smoke. No cigar. Everyone's just barking on the other side of these smokes. GLRS have the ults, and now they're starting to get surrounded. They had their chance to escape, and now it's M80.
Enemy remaining.
Trap them.
And Nismo too, getting the last two going into the round. Halfway mark now to get the annihilation, but just as Schiff was mentioned on the desk with Roy and Sierra earlier on, when it comes down to M80, the value that they get around the dimensional drift is always going to be quite huge with Koala Noob when he has that available. To move inside that site, to get that ping onto those players holding towards the back of the boathouse once again, it allowed Nismo to get his lineup with the grav net to actually catch those players. On top of that, a hat to ping them out, to really not give a chance here for the anchors to really play around that Sentinel utility that I was praising GLRS that they were able to do earlier on. And now we have an op on the attack. No walls being thrown earlier on here on the B side, so it gives an opening here for Koala Noob to explore and see if he can get a pick early here.
M80, it's been constant B hits. Maybe a fear that Sato obviously still has the op, but it's been sitting mid with it. And M80 dumping everything they can into B. That's the only ounce of success M80 have had on offense. Now with the Hunter's Fury, CJ would like in for more information
Enemy tag.
to use that with.
It's going to be
As well as the drone and the recon too.
Yeah, I think it's just going to be a rinse and repeat here. It was a call from the attack side that double smokes are being used by Luke Show. They would have a little bit less to try to hold back towards an A-side smoke if there was going to be a pivot back towards middle. And the Owl drone got traded out. Evil Kick spotting that rotate coming through, and now everybody just has to like kind of hold their ground. You're going to try to sell this fake here towards this catwalk area with this Owl drone, and then break this barrier mesh once you TP across here to hit towards this B site.
Already are going to try and sell that fake. GLRS trying to catch up towards B. Hunter's Fury from the defense. M80 scramble. And now it gets divided. Some escape and some enter the site. There is no safety when you go up against GLRS on this Ascent defense. M80 absolutely fumbling as GLRS puppeteering this map. And
look at where the barrier mesh is on the attack. I think this is the second time that Nismo unfortunately misses his wall when they're trying to scale up. That should be thrown here towards the spawn to prevent any type of leak coming through here from the spawn. And instead, it blocks the lane for M80 to run through towards lane. They can't even run through logs because it was blocking the wall in that side. So that's unfortunate here. 2 strong hits coming across from M80 that gets denied by their own wall.
I always thought it was easier to play a deadlock towards A, and it's like they tried a couple times, and like you even pointed out, the wall was kind of missed in tree, and see if it's easier this time. So finally an A hit happens for M80, where GLRS can play passive off the sonic sensors, and now with vision that the hit is coming, all depends and all leads on this evil kick Odin to cut M80 at the heel as they enter. And that Odin will claim 1, but M80 now have 4 on the post plant. And they gotta worry about getting surrounded. They gotta press an angle. And at least they'll have someone on the flank here of Xander, but from the shadows, but he's stuffed out by Evil Kick. This Odin is disgusting, and now paranoia from GLRS pierces through M80. They'll be stoic. They'll be stuck in hell. They're about to be there too. M80 still managed to fire back in a 2 versus 1. When it was GLRS starting with all the picks, it seems it's M80 that clutch up.
It's only natural that we're going to have a 9-3 half to end the half here for GLRS' lead at least, but they mustered something there for M80. Nice little push towards the end, and the flash once again for Koala Noob gets great value here for the team, and they're able to close in and play that double hell. The net also slowed enough. Maybe the walls weren't the best from Nismo, but at least the grab nets has been quite fruitful for M80's takes, and also this time on a post-plant hold. So now at least they're able to switch sides here, where this double sentinel comp should be good enough here for the defensive side too. But if GLRS have been playing the way that they've been playing so far since the first half, I think that we're going to see a lot more value coming out from Marengo playing the mirror deadlock agent versus Nismo. And we'll see like the real value that deadlock brings here towards the site executes for GLRS' side.
Well, M80 held on with a hope and a prayer when they just kind of ran in. They're getting shot at from all angles. They cage up, hide in hell, and hope for the best. Can they really keep depending on just hoping for the best? Well, at least a new half will bring M80 to a more favorable side with the double sentinel. We'll see how practiced GLRS look on offense with the deadlock. Because that was something you pointed out that Nismo could have done better on. Or that at least that was an issue to fully get the value out of the deadlock there. But 9-3, this is also a scoreline GLRS we're not a fan of previously.
Yeah. And I do respect how M80 looked like they were always trying to default towards B side to kick things off. That was also because looking at Sato's position and the heat map that he was with the operator was a lot down towards middle or towards wine or towards catwalk. So you're trying to avoid the op. You're trying to make sure that you're at least able to work towards the B side, because where the jet wouldn't be, that's where the deadlock would be. You're trying to bait out the early wall so you could go for the site exec after, which sort of worked here and there. And it was just going into these moments on the post plant where it kind of crumbled here and there for M80. But this, if it was a little bit cleaner on their positioning on the post plants, then we might have had a different scoreline towards the end. But it's GLRS coming out very strong on first bloods, on map control, and on these retakes, that they now have an opportunity to push this very quickly into a third map.
Now, GLRS with a heavy lean towards A, waiting out the one-way. Koala with green rain of mid after, well, the initial recon didn't catch him, but now he's discovered.
Camera taken out.
But that's really just about GLRS not having as much freedom now that some positions are revealed. They're going to slowly walk into A. It seems safe, and yeah, Sato gets pinged. M80, the trap play was there. GLRS revealed and struck down, and it's all up to Rude.
Wait a minute. I just saw BCJ throw the recon dart right into Dice, and somehow it still pinged Sato. Did he try to dash towards Dice and get slingshotted and pinged at the same time, which gave M80 the purest look as possible to convert that hold? Turns out to be a blessing here for them to hold the defensive side, and Ryu now has to play a 1 versus 4, but all of this was initiated and engaged by how Koala Noob here was pushed all the way out towards middle, has a TP in the back of the boathouse, gets control of this main area, and also as he gets pinged by the camera, it allowed here Nismo to throw the wall, and as it isn't being shot, they know now the hit's coming towards this A site. It forced the hand of GLRS to move a little bit more quickly than anticipated, because your lurk wouldn't be ready here to actually lurk. And it allowed here M80 to get a nice crossfire in the end and convert the pistol.
Aries by BCJ, solo on B, net at the wing. GLRS explore mid with the smoke, catwalk. Xander, a lot on the other side. He gets away with 2. He's got more in the tank. Xander, the net. He's caught. And GLRS didn't even have time to set up, to think, to act before falling.
He's just trying to run here to get the orb, trying to deny it, but BCJ is already there. So nicely done here by M80. A Blight Light flawless to convert that second round, and you're right here, chat. Now that I look back at it, it was the trip that was placed behind on the A side that prevented Sato from moving in and slingshotted him back. It wasn't a recon, thankfully. So that was going to be that. That's crazy stuff going on through there. But at least for now, when you're looking at the... you're looking at the push coming out.
They're locked in too.
Exactly, from GLRS towards this cat. It's great that Xander's holding this judge, something that even Sadak has... I pretty much call it the Sadak spot, right? He always owns that spot with the judge, and even as he gets netted, still has great support from the crossfire setup in the back at tree. So M80 looking fairly strong on their second round, converting here their anti-eco. Now going into the bonus, have an outlaw to work with. Xander still holding inside the smoke.
To bring all those weapons into the bonus too is great for M80. See if the judge can do the 2 feet over at tree, and GLRS don't want that smoke. Things seem too quiet over at B. GLRS will try their hand at that, leaving mid open. Sonic sensor at the door for M80. Oh, drone. Quality playoff contact there. Still has a flash, and just at least using the Aries to pressure them back, and the outlaw rings true. A lot of pings too. BCJ does as much damage as he can. He's an absolute nuisance to this B-side hold. GLRS haven't given up yet somehow.
Yeah, this is still pretty good though. The amount of damage that he's done, even though it doesn't look like a lot for left. BCJ with the Aries, this is all one-shots now for Koala Noob with the outlaw.
Down B.
For now, M80 are okay to take a step back. Just reel in the fish. GLRS
We'll take a step further back
into the trap.
10
further back.
seconds left.
Yeah. It definitely walked into that trap, and it was a tight angle held there by Koala Noob, and usually you kind of have like this recon dart or a camera that spots towards B main so that you could start engaging into the spray of the Aries. But instead it was going to be just a tight angle held by the outlaw. It connects onto a kill on top of that. And then you go with the spray, do a little bit of pop damage, and already the defense was there on a rotate.
Things seem a lot more stable now.
Yeah. See Net being very vocal. Sorry, 11Q. You could see Net being very vocal as well here on the player reaction cams, as pretty sure it was mentioned here by Xander in the past too that Net does haul a little bit more here on the defensive side of having better reads, better understanding of around his utility of where the players could be, and based on his timing and what he's currently watching with his Cypher util.
I'm glad you brought up Net, because yeah, ever since he joined this roster, he's brought a lot of stability and consistency to M80. To have a flawless group stage, to now kind of get tripped up and be in the lower bracket is a position we're not used to see out of M80. But when it comes to this Ascent, when it comes to the double Sentinel, it was about which defense is going to be closer to perfect. M80, they start off with a 3-round win streak. All is so far. But GLRS, they dominated their half for sure. 9-3. Gonna be a tough mountain for M80 to ascend, but so far so good.
Yep, you're running into the same issues here that M80 is currently doing, or what M80 was faced with on their attack side too, is just getting caught up by a lot of this double senti utility here on the defensive side. I liked at least on the pistol round, the shot guards did clear a bit of that util, which I didn't see that happen from M80 too much, and looks like Koala Noob was just able to sneak through towards Wine. Boom.
Oh,
Spike
they
down.
don't know.
Spike
Spike's down
down A.
too. With the one-way. Oh, jeez. GLRS in shambles. But wait, Luke is getting on top once the smoke clears. You can have a heads-up play. And now knowing there's just a lot more cooks in that kitchen. And now the... Wait, Sato's kind of stuck. M80 aren't playing close enough. And GLRS managed to get the spike. This could be a salvageable round, but in a 3 versus 5 and a sheriff for Luke. That's some cope on the salvage part.
If anything, it's such good mobility. I mean, look at all those kills coming in from Koala Noob. The first one at Wine, TP towards middle, gets the kill towards mid, back TP towards A side, and gets that third kill. If somehow this double Vandal wins the round for GLRS, there's nothing more that Koala Noob could do. But thankfully, we're double up in the back of the site. And that's why we talk about the utility of the double senti. There's really nothing you could do when you're trying to run away after being droned out, and the sonic sensor kind of like just held you back in the next two. And speaking of Net himself, anchoring towards that B site.
Right here.
And we're looking pretty flawless so far for M80 on the defensive side.
Yeah, just the first blood and maybe a frustrating round for GLRS trying to stay composed. Able to at least get the spike back in a situation where M80
Track them down.
could have fought for it. It's M80 catching up and finally buying rifles after carrying over so many weapons. And an economy that sets up M80 for an avalanche. GLRS at least trying to react to any heads-up play from M80 out of a main like last round, but M80 switch it up every time.
And we are flowing abundantly in terms of fortunes for M80. Lots of them maxing out even if they lose the round, more specifically Xander. Potentially Nismo here, 50 shy away. But that said, GLRS is finally looking to prod up towards middle, something that they haven't done too much, and already BCJ's there on the read.
Sato pinged. Odin in place, and a Hunter's Fury. BCJ, how measured does he want to be? How sure does he want to be as soon as he sees someone? Just go for it, honestly, or just spray and pray. The Odin is nasty in that way. Nismo helps. Pincer, GLRS stuck in this position. GLRS feel pressure, feel forced to make a decision as they step on in a 3 versus 5 to head into the site. Gets the dimensional drift of Koala Noob that escapes. BCJ with the Hunter's Fury. GLRS are pressed. Pressure makes diamonds.
Oh my God.
But GLRS get flawless, and it's not looking good.
Now, BCJ once again, Sova, Odin holding down towards middle. The TP came across from Luke's show thinking that he would get a timing there, and it just stays in the ADS with the spray. But this combination, once again, the value that Koala Noob brings out with this dimensional drift, and Net is heated up right now, and he's amping up his team to make sure that they come back in this game. It was Nismo that was basically screaming out top of his lungs before the game started, but it's nice to see that Net has been stepping up here in terms of that right there. He is amped up for amping his team and amping on the kills.
One enemy remaining.
I mean, there's only some. Give him the ace. Oh, Koala Noob. Come on. Another Blacklight flawless, though. This was a 9-3 half for GLRS, and we knew the double senti was going to shine its brightest on defense. And M80, multiple rounds now of these 5v3s, 5v2s just off the rip. GLRS can't turn around these rounds unless they get a miracle on their side.
Yeah. And that's why I was mentioning it's nice that Net was starting to scream up. And I was going to mention here as soon as we started the round, he's maybe amped up and being very vocal, but he was also at 4 and 12 before he got the 4K on that previous round. But it's what's needed. No, make that 9 and 12. What an ADS for that kill, too, when it's a gun round for GLRS.
Well, Rude able to even things up, taking a different angle to approach mid with. Sonic sensors for M80 are going to cover their tracks at tree. M80 stacked on the right side of the map. GLRS about to hit this head on. Neural theft.
Oh my god.
Oh, Net is unleashed. And now everyone from M80 is pinging GLRS. What can they do about it? Net has his own neural theft too, but GLRS just screaming at the other side of the smoke. Luke versus Xander. Xander gets antsy. Still ends up getting the read on Luke. It's a 2 versus 4. GLRS on the post plant. Sato, 37 HP. Against the army of M80, and now a drone that takes away his advantage. He'll still hold the angle. An evil kick goes 2 for 1. But M80 just overwhelmed them in the end. They go up to 10, and the lead swings to M80's favor.
Net's calling for a tech timeout, I think, because it was going under the desk after his being too vocal, maybe lost his audio. But again, just to continue one last point here about Net, it's nice that he's being vocal so far in the second half, because it's really not only reeling M80 up, but when the hype man was Nismo at the very beginning, and we get into the second map here where it was dominating for GLRS to start, and Nismo was missing his walls, I'm pretty sure he's going to be a little bit into his own mind at that point. So you need somebody else to really step up and bring up the hype for the team. And Net is doing wonders, not only then, but in the last 3 rounds. I think he did, what 4, 5 to 7 kills, I think, for the team, to allow now M80 to take the lead 10-9. This was a 9-3 half here for GLRS, and potentially a 9-3 curse.
We had the smallest of inklings that M80 were trying to tell the other team to take a pause, because it's kind of turned into a slaughter. And, you know, mad respect to GLRS' defense, but it didn't go on a 7-win streak like this. This is the unstoppable force of M80 that sweep away a lead now. Not too far ahead, not out of reach for a team like GLRS, but now the mental sets in. Now there's a technical pause. Maybe M80 spilled some water. It's not going to be any kind of smack talk. But GLRS got to get out of their own heads. They're getting pieced up off as soon as the barriers come down. They're getting quad killed by Net.
Yeah.
First blooded, re-swinging the same thing they did back-to-back rounds.
Right here.
GLRS got to calm down.
If anything, they got to be a little bit more allowed to calm M80 down, because M80's certainly feeling it so far. As we come back here and resume after the tech pause, and up once again in favor of QualiNoob. And on that last round, despite QualiNoob dying with this team, and they have no big flashes to work with outside of the paranoia, you could still convert around for M80. So it comes to show now that they're showing up as a group, as a team, and the win con is not only on QualiNoob's aggressive positioning with this op.
I'm surprised QualiNoob didn't just stay there. I just took like a random shot. Maybe patience would help, but that is a one-and-done position with the op, and maybe it's too high value.
It's a timing that he has on his gate crash that he has to TP out as soon as possible with the time or running out onto his TP, and it was a barrier mesh thrown behind him at the same time. So you wanted to make sure he didn't get caught, and he TPs back into it. Who cares? That's why he did it.
Dude, the drone catching that Cypher hiding beside the box, and it's just boiling over.
Nice.
M80. Spark plug just ignites all of M80. Close to another flawless.
30 seconds
And
left.
look how rich M80 are. It's going to take so many rounds for GLRS to even make them sweat in the economical department. A flawless, as QualiNoob's 2 more away from a dimensional drift, and Nismo is loud and proud right now.
Yeah, and there's definitely some M80 fans coming in here into Monterrey, Mexico. I love to see that. Fans worldwide for M80 to start. But within that round, it's rare that I see even a counter paranoia from Omen at Generator. Usually, when you're looking at a site exec, it's an Omen throwing it from the A side back towards Jenny to hit the site. But that paranoia really allowed here Nismo to stay alive, into Sato, who was dashing forward, getting ready to right-click right-click Bladestorm to take him down. Unfortunately, because of that paranoia, Sato missed his daggers, and it gave a chance here for M80 to continue a stronghold on their defensive side. And a much-needed attack pause, as this may be the last timeout now for GLRS in this series and in this Challengers career for this season for this team. You mentioned it here, a team that came out of nowhere pretty much. First time being picked up into an organization and making it this far so far for GLRS. With how M80 has been playing so far, they might fall just short of making it here into a deep run. Just like their compatriots of 2G are currently here in the grand finals waiting for their opponents.
This is the 9-3 curse, maybe call it the GLRS curse. Because the 9-3 half is how the series ended, not in their favor against All Knights just yesterday. To the point where they sounded really upset on social media, just mad at themselves, mad at this would even get out of reach. But they knew the challenge was going to be M80's defense. And GLRS just need one round to just prove that they can take an offense. And it starts off with Sato. After that tactical pause from GLRS, their spirits are lifted. A first blood there. They've evacuated Closet, but Net just swung around when Closet was being pushed, and Net gets one for free, despite being outnumbered. M80 are still down one. As the plant ensues, GLRS bunker with also players in B main. Timing is everything. Annihilation from Nismo. Don't think it brought anyone out. GLRS happy they have a chance. And here on the backstab could be Evil Kick. And he does find two. It's a united effort for GLRS to just take their first offensive round.
And that was much needed, and a change of pacing, a change of tempo here for GLRS. Running straight through as soon as the yellow drone came across, realizing here that there wasn't too much of the aggression of the op. Just like how Sato was playing with the op here on the defensive side. Koala was putting a lot of these lines here towards mid and A side to start. And as we owl drone out at the very beginning to try to get some information, to just find the timing to catch BCJ off guard. It was a nice attempt, at least by Net. He called for a Xander smoke right in front of him. He has a cage on the other side. And then even a player tripped over and gets a trip kill onto one. But couldn't get more than that because there was just too many players of GLRS running through. And GLRS are able to at least keep their dreams alive here in this race. One map behind, one map under in this series under M80. And Rude trying to find any type of aggressive position, and Koala Noob is not going to get spotted and is in a great spot with his op once again.
The sonic sensors, interesting for M80, aren't going to be at the front door, but they may just let GLRS walk into B, but we'll see. It's Koala Noob exploited when he was exploring B, snuffed out GLRS. With that round under their belt, the lead could be back in their favor soon if they could stay locked in. But it's never going to be easy against a team like M80. Now GLRS coming through mid, cutting into B. Barriers, annihilation from Durango, got no one. M80 barely dodging a bullet there. They'll have to dodge some more bullets as M80 down. Left staircase, Sato, clean shots. GLRS think they have the advantage. The Net just only slows GLRS down. And it's all up to Xander in a 1v3. Plant going down.
Yeah, Sonic Sensor could only do so much here, especially when you're kind of jiggle peeking, over peeking a little bit here, where the contact potentially should have been Nismo at the staircase because of that Sonic Sensor, so that BCJ could swing out with the Odin spray. It'll make it render a difficult retake for Xander. Walks across, tries to avoid the Sonic Sensor on the attack side, and that allows Arango to get a free kill. And we tied up 11-11, and that was a big punish, a big kill that started off from Rude here at the tiles to be able to get that ping onto Koala Noob and just swing out to get the kill. What was that, like the pistol round where that happened, the first engagement where Koala Noob continued to walk down towards tiles? Well, this time he was not ready for Rude to swing right out from the camera to get the kill.
Last tactical pause from M80. As much as we'd laugh, it'd be like, okay, they could use it to smack talk. No, they gotta lock in. This is back-to-back rounds of GLRS decisive B pushes. And M80, inserting Koala into these interesting positions by himself, solo play, but like I've said before, you live and you die by the Koala Noob, and been a lot of success on M80's side because of Koala Noob's effort. And even his ace at some point on Sunset. Now, maybe as much as they got a lead back after a 3-9 deficit, this is as much as it could be a fake comeback too, and not the 9-3 curse. It's 11-11. Ascension on the line.
This timeout is maybe just to try to iron out a few things, maybe not to overcommit too much here in your confidence as you are pushing down for these angles. I still respect it to give Koala Noob the opportunity to have free reign around the spot to get these aggressive angles, but as soon as he gets spotted here by a camera, you probably should have TP'd before or as fast as you can before pulling out the dart. So just trying to iron things out. You talk about the high BPM that these players could be feeling right now, as Roy mentioned on the desk. Sometimes in these moments, in these pressured moments, when you're trying to fight for tournament life, these mistakes could slip.
Right here.
Need to calm down the issue just a bit.
Not going to be as early of a push into B main as before for GLRS, not with BCJ, who's been locked in with the darts. Not a drone this time, but just an Odin. That is making it quite an obstacle course for GLRS, and now the barrier thrown out just when GLRS felt safe. But Sato still found his way in, and M80 may have let them slip by, but it's how they cut them at the heel. Xander, the anchor at the back, in the closet, looks left. His teammate is wing, Nismo on the right. The reinforcements of M80 on all angles, cut off by a barrier from Durango with 3 remain for GLRS. They try to trade. Rude does his best. A lot of injuries on GLRS' side as Rude at the top site makes his appearance known. GLRS try to hold down. It's all Koala Noob. And a 1 versus 2 makes it easier. And he's still got a flash too. Durango
10 seconds left.
heads to the other side.
Sonic sensors, 2 of them available on the pulse plant. Makes it into the site right now. That was close. But now at least it gives a chance here for Koala Noob to rotate out. Oh, Durango's going to play the forward position and try to cut that rotate across. In Koala Noob's game sense, we've seen it before in Sunset, he might be ready for this.
Well, it's all about timing. Koala Noob by the teleport in place behind Durango. As quiet as a mouse. Koala Noob thinks he's playing main, and it's Durango that gives GLRS map point up to 12. Is it overtime? Is it the end? Man, GLRS making the ultimate comeback in terms of the absolute deficit not deficit, but the streak that they let M80 get on at the start of this half, to GLRS locking in when it matters the most.
Yeah. The IGL once again, this time clutching it for the team. Where at first it almost felt like Sato had a nice surprise attack onto his opponents, dashing above while they were both being hit by Paranoia and Gravnetted. But he threw a smoke down, which kind of gave a chance here for Nismo to win that fight, and that could have been a huge mistake there for GLRS not being able to convert there that round, and it had to come down to a clutch win coming out from Durango. To get the lead back now for GLRS, and still a fighting chance to push this into a third map. And M80, a change of pace now, at least in the positioning of Koala Noob, this time finally anchoring out towards the B main with the operator. He's holding a tight angle, and there's no TP that looks like to be placed so far. He's gonna have to be a little bit weary of the timing so far.
BCJ delaying, now just throwing out the recon. No pings, still a drone left. Koala Noob placing teleport back. Now the drone gets shot down immediately, up close and personal. Koala Noob waves goodbye at the duelist opposition. M80, I mean, the step 1 is done, and as GLRS shifts, the spike is down over at the A side. M80 have held the door shut, and GLRS, they're gonna see overtime soon unless they got tricks up their sleeve.
Starts with Lucio, that thought that he could push towards the garden, but as he dies, that's his spike too, once again falling down.
Remaining.
Overtime in the sights now for M80.
Well, he denies the op at least, and yep, overtime. M80 glad they could get
overtime
back on the high horse after forced to use their timeout to reassess when things looked
This right here.
swimmingly for M80. Yeah, just Kowalanub, a high risk, high reward, and all he got was paid out there.
I mean, the amount of times that he gets close range, quick scope shots like that with the operator. And the other layer on top of that too is the fake TP. Xander TP towards the back of the site and canceled it, making them think that there was going to be a heavy push and a heavy rotate from M80 over on that side. And for GLRS, it worked to a sense because the name of the game was trying to sell that fake towards the B side because a lot of them were leaning towards A. But after that TP came back towards the A side, he throws the paranoid, delays enough. And now we have a chance to see extra innings for M80 to still try to close this series up. Or for GLRS to fight and push us into Abyss and give us a chance to see what M80 has in store in their Abyss composition where we have yet to see it this Ascension so far.
Yeah, GLRS back on defense. And this overtime can last quite a while with the sides being swapped and both defenses being as good as it is. But a push from M80 to press this backline. GLRS cannot lay back as Urango throws down the net to slow down M80 on his tail. Urango even strikes down M80 on the pinch when the tempo was shifted off. M80 face down now at 2 versus 4. Losing M80, or losing net, I should say.
One enemy remaining.
Now with the paranoia, great punish. Xander is left on the other side of the map with no spike. Well, at least with a kill.
And 2 more are grabbing an orb, and this time around, GLRS doesn't want to over-peek into that one either, to not give a chance for Xander to get that done. But he has a paranoia to work with too.
Paranoia out. Looking at Sato. Shot coming in. Xander stays cool. Now he has to worry about a crossfire now that his position is revealed. 13 seconds left.
10 seconds
Only
left.
could be able to find the kills in time, and Xander gets one missed op shot. Wait, Xander, it's possible. Gets the plant. 1v1 against Rude for the lead and map point once again. Xander at 14 HP. He clutches. Are you serious?
Switching sides. Match.
You know, we're calling a tech pause after that one because you've got to put the headphones back on. But oh my God, was that a clutch from Xander? That first swing onto Orango, everything was pristine in terms of positioning there for GLRS. But somehow, the offshot just missed and gave that sliver of a chance for Xander to win that round. The protocols were there. And look at that fadeaway kill off the Sato after as he misses the shot of the op. Out in the open, low HP, and catches Rude and gives a chance for M80 to close the series. Devastating GLRS so far in terms of morale.
And now you face an M80 defense that kicked you in the gut so many times earlier on in the second half. A huge attack win for M80. I can't believe that clutch after a quiet previous performance. The Zippo clutch for M80 now. They did give up a lot of defensive rounds to GLRS as the second half boiled down to force OT. GLRS, it's not over. They're not going to show themselves quite yet, but the drone from the defense did get shot down. Kowalanub, the high-risk play, and the one and done. He gets the first blood.
B.
That's where it starts faltering. You see the pressure on the shoulders of GLRS, able to push this into overtime, almost getting the map win. And now, again, facing adversity, just crumbles on the pushes.
It's the koala vet at this point. GLRS thought they had a chance to drone in, walk in, feel safe. 1v4 for Rude. 2 away from the neural theft. If you can even get that far. Injuries on Nismo's side at no time. Kowalanub with the final kill to give M80 to win as they advance through the bracket.
And pointing out there Nismo right into Xander. This would not have happened without Xander's 1v4 clutch. but a great display of resiliency over to M80, over on the defensive side, where it was all GLRS from the very beginning, and heartbreaking faces you can see right there on the camp on the Brazilian side. I mean, hats off to them, right? They played such a good tournament. In 2 occasions, they could have at least pushed this into a third map. Once against All Knights, once against M80. But just unfortunate when it comes down to that pressure, it just crumbles at the last second. And unfortunately, meets their demise, losing the second map into overtime again. And unfortunately, losing their Ascension run.
Brazil loses its #1 seed, but still has one hope remaining and their best shot at it with 2 games in the grand final, as M80 go to the lower bracket final to face All Knights, second seed from LATAM. Took a lot of effort out of M80, and talk about the resilience of facing the 3-9 deficit when their offense looked shaky. You pointed out.
Yeah. And it's so many players stepped up to the plate there too. Just the teamwork between BCJ and Kuala Noob when they had these ults. Net, individual rounds that he had as well. Xander with the clutch. Nismo was the support cast going through here for this team, and they looked actually quite awesome here on their defensive side. But with that look that we saw there against GLRS, I don't know if there's going to have to be probably some rethinking of how they could approach here their attack side, because I don't think as an NA fan you could continue to bear with the suspense and the pressure here that M80 is currently playing in these maps on Ascent.
An explosive performance out of Xander and Kuala Noob to step up to the plate when their team needed them to the most. Can't believe that clutch. I don't even know if hearts still work on the side of our desk, so let's go check in with them.
I don't know. My heart's barely working. It's still in there, though. How about you guys?
No doubts. Never a question. Never out of reach.
I don't think I've ever audibly screamed watching a match before. That might have been one of the only times I've legitimately just screamed viscerally.
That's the real reason my heart has stopped, was because Roy is screaming in call and just scared the absolute daylights out of me. I mean, what an ending to that series. M80, they're going to be moving along into that lower finals in a map where this was their map pick, and things were looking a little dicey for a little bit. As soon as they started getting just a little bit of momentum, Roy, they're stringing rounds together. You know, they kind of just got knocked right back down. But taking that then in overtime in the fashion that it did, I mean, M80, I mean, Vance is right. There's definitely things to work on, but they live to see another day.
Listen, the 9-3 is one man's curse and another man's blessing, okay? That's just the fact, okay? That's just all there is to it. But no, the first half we're like, oh my God, GLRS is playing extremely well. I mean, everything was going super well for them. They really were not making many mistakes. But as soon as we saw the 9-3 finish, we know this is a very defense-sided comp. It's in the name. It's a double Sentinel composition. This is what it's for. And I just feel like the way that M80 executed, considering their bad first half, was just unreal.
Yeah, I mean, both the Sentinels for M80 went 24-9 combined. And on top of that, Quality went 5-1 first blood KD ratio from the defensive side. So, yeah, you're absolutely right. I mean, there definitely were moments that I'm sure all the North American fans were watching that first half like, are we joking? There's no way this is going to happen again. And then you start to deal with a fake comeback narrative when you start to see GLRS put together 3 in a row on offense of like, wait a second, what is M80 doing? Like, we had all the success. We didn't even have the need to even get diffuses in most of the time. It was just good contest from the front side of the sites. And then, of course, the heroics that come through, of course, what edges this entire series and gets M80 into the next round. And unfortunately, with to say farewell to GLRS, who, again, they played a really strong event here this week.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. Commiserations to GLRS, Brazil's #1 seed. That was an unreal showing by them. But M80, the fact that they closed that out was just crazy to me. And I think I have to say, like, genuinely, I think Xander's clutch, it might have been I don't think anyone's topping that clutch for a while. Like, that clutch has cultural impact. That has impact, long-lasting ones.
If M80 make it to VCT Americas, we'll call back to that clutch and maybe a moment that changed absolutely everything here. I mean, it could have been a situation where we would still be in overtime right now, or we're talking about Abyss, because GLRS, they definitely put up a fight. So many moments across the board. I mean, Evil Kid, what a presence. Rude, I mean, some of these multi-kills, it was just absolutely incredible. And Even just looking at the stats here, I mean, I see Xander that's 13 and 16, and it's like, how is that even possible here, Shift? Because like the pressure and what he was able to bring, the impact that he had, I mean, speaks volumes. I don't think a number could represent that.
Well, I mean, think about the age that he plays in the midst of this conversation with the comp that is on this map, right? Like, you just don't expect him to be involved with a lot of the early action, right? I mean, he had 2 first blood engagements. He went 1 for 1 in them, where Koala went 10 and 2. Like,
10.
Yeah, you're just supposed to be there throwing out smokes and making sure your paranoias are good, which they were. And then when you're called upon to make a hero play happen, you do that too. So it is one of those situations you just don't expect the controllers to have major impacts on the overall kill leaderboard, but I think that's where you start to really tally things like ACS and just overall rating and stuff like that VLR has. I mean, he still played an incredibly good game. It's just in this composition, there's not much you can do besides be the controller, throwing out smokes, making sure flashes are there, and then of course manipulating the map as his team sees fit. So I still think that, like Roy said, that clutch takes the cake possibly for the entire tournament.
I mean, for M80, this is just the first step, but they still have this lower finals ahead of them. They still have to see where they can go from here because it's not done quite yet. But this was definitely a very good first step, this 2-0. So congratulations to them. We're going to be taking a quick break on the other side and interview, so stay tuned.
Favorite trend, probably. I like the Costco guys, people. I'm not gonna lie.
And my favorite internet trend, I remember Harlem Shake when I was on college. My teacher, she was so mad when we make that trend. I can't remember that moment.
There's like this thing with LeBron James where he just lies for no reason, and it's very obviously he's lying, but he keeps going no matter what. And it's so funny.
Is actually a Liverpool legend. He used to play there. I don't know if you knew that.
No, I knew that. No, I knew that.
Here when we are playing, we have when someone headshots a flick and something, we usually say boofu. So that's in train. It's a bufu, you know. It's a kind of meme of ours.
I don't know. I love Pepe the Frog.
Huh?
It's been used for things that I don't really support, but I love Pepe the Frog. Like Pepega. Man, it's so funny.
All posts regarding Aura has making me lose my shit. Lose myself. They're so funny, man. They're so out of pocket. I just, you know. And most of the time, they don't even make sense.
Pranks, yes. It's very funny.
I don't know, months ago or a year ago when everyone was saying no cap or cap.
Stop the cap.
Yeah, for me, it's a pretty weird, but it makes me laugh every time.
Hi guys, how are you doing? I'm here with Koala. The first question that I want to ask is, how are you feeling right now?
I'm feeling very excited. I'm happy that we won. We had a very long team talk yesterday, a very well-needed one, and honestly, it paid off, and I think everybody's very happy. and we're not celebrating yet because the job's not done.
So what was going through your guys' mind in the Ascent when you guys were losing 3-9 on the first half? What were you thinking?
To be honest, we weren't really that stressed. Like, yeah, we played a pretty rough T side. Like, we could have definitely gotten a lot more rounds if we just played a little bit more like correctly, like together. But like, that's kind of how the new meta is shifting with this comp. Like, it's very CT sided, and like, if you don't know how to play against that, or like you have like an off day with like util or something, like it's gonna catch you off guard and it's gonna destroy you. To be honest.
So you guys tomorrow are playing against All Knights for the finals. How are you guys preparing for that match, and what do you think is going to happen?
Well, first, I think it's going to be an M80 win for sure. I think we have the most experience out of any team still, despite us losing yesterday. I still think we're the best team by far. Guard, when I was on, it was in a best of 5. We were in a best of 5 last year. We played a lot of best of 5s in our lives. We just have so much experience, and we're all confident that we can just pull this off. And I think this really helps us in the lower bracket. We get to experience a best of 5, get the energy flowing, like get to know how it feels with best of 5, and I think that's the advantage we'll have over All Knights and 2-game.
So the last question for you personally is, what is the difference between last year's Ascension and this one?
To be honest, not much has really changed. I mean, it's the exact same storyline, except this time we'll win. We go into playoffs, we lose our first round, we get knocked into the lowers, which sucks. But this time we're going to complete the run, and I'm very confident in my team. I don't care what these teams pull out, what maps are played, like, we're going to win.
Thank you very much, Koala. It's a wrap for today, guys, but tomorrow we have one more match, so come back. Thank you very much.
I mean, yeah, you better be here for tomorrow because M80, they're continuing along in this lower bracket. It's going to be a best of 5 in the lower finals going up against All Knights, and wow. Honestly, the confidence coming out too. I mean, it was definitely a struggle shift that game to get them knocked down into the lower bracket, but they're clawing their way through, and they have a chance to rewrite their history and how Ascension went last year for them.
Yeah, best of 5s, I think, are going to favor this team dramatically. It's going to force teams to have to make tough decisions in what you want to veto. Do you want to veto out your worst, or do you want to veto out Icebox? That's going to be kind of the conversation, I think, for All Knights and then 2G again, even though, again, that series did go well for them overall. But I just expect this M80 team to really start to turn up now that they've got an extra map to play around with at worst. The matchup in particular versus AK, I think, is actually a really intriguing one because these couldn't be more opposite in terms of stylistic-based teams. All Knights liking to play a little bit more of the aggressive, first 45 seconds are looking for first bloods. M80 a little bit more patient, trying to play for things like retakes and late executes. So should be interesting to see how those styles match up tomorrow.
Yeah, I think the best of 5 topic is a really good one because M80 has been the most consistent team in the tournament so far. Yeah, their highs haven't been as high as we expect from them, but they still have been an extremely consistent team. And I think when it comes to these best of 5s, M80 is looking in a pretty good spot to challenge a lot of these teams.
I mean, M80s, when you're talking about the highs that we haven't quite gotten to see from them, I mean, they're still 2 best of 5s to have that opportunity to show us. And on the opposing end, All Knights, one of the most explosive teams that we had, and a team that has shown us they have strong mentals to be able to bounce back in this series. So with that being a best of 5, it is going to be an exciting day for sure. But that is unfortunately it for us today. Again, we do have to say, nice trying for GLRS. They really did show us a lot of what they are capable of. We have a lot of strong teams here in Ascension, and we're going to have 2 great days ahead of us to be able to show that even more. Thank you all so much for watching. We'll see you tomorrow for the lower finals. Have a great rest of your night.
Headshot. Nailed him. My ult.
I know exactly.
3.
One enemy. Spike planted. Last player standing. One enemy remaining.
There you
One enemy remaining. One enemy remaining. Seconds left. One enemy remaining. One enemy.
Give me the
One enemy remaining.
I have the spike.
Spike down B. One enemy remaining. Spike down A. One enemy remaining. One enemy remaining. Last player standing.
I